What's good, y'all? This is Electo with another tutorial, and today I'll be showing you guys how I mix my drums. Alright, so the way I'm going to be structuring this video is that I'll have three parts, or three sections, so to say. The first one will be about the sound selection and the sound design. The second one will be about the leveling, aka the gain staging and the panning. And the last and third section will be about some additional effects I like to use in order to make the 808 and the kick really cut through the mix and the mastering. Alright, so let's go. Right, so what I can say about sound selection is that it is a very common beginner's mistake, especially to take low quality drum samples and then spending hours on tweaking them in the mixer, trying to make them sound good, when it's really easier to take sounds from other producers you like and take those as a basis and then work from there. Basically what I do in terms of sound design usually is that I would change the transient of the drum sounds, and I wouldn't overdo it, but I'm gonna show you with the example of the hi-hat. So I like the sound of this, but it's not exactly like, it sounds like it's overlapping, which it isn't, but yeah, it's too long for a hi-hat to my ear, so I'm gonna just turn up the out knob a bit so that it sounds a little sharper, just like that. And what I also do is that I usually adjust the transient of the 808. So I'm gonna just sounds pretty good, but I'm gonna try cutting it a bit, give it more dynamic range. Sounds good like this. And what I also do to the 808 is that I will, if there's a kick which usually is in the same frequency range, I would go ahead and adjust the envelope so that it has an attack, so that whenever the kick hits, there will be a split second until the 808 comes in. Sounds a bit better, cleaner. What I'd like to say also is that it's pretty obvious that you can apply that same technique to all of the drum sounds here, but I just decided to limit it to the 808 and the hi-hat here, since I felt like the other sounds already sound good the way they are. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Alright, so now that I'm done explaining what changes I usually do to the drum samples while making the beat, I can get to the actual mixing. And what I'm gonna do at first is that I'm gonna single out every single one of these sounds, and I'm going to equalize them, and I'm just gonna cut out the frequencies that I don't use. So I'm just start with the 808 here. Which EQ are we using today? Let's just use this one. So what I do here is that I'm gonna cut everything below like 25 Hz, because it's not even audible and it still takes up space in the mix. Now to the kick, same thing. Be fine. Then the hats. open hats. Pretty much the same thing. Then the clap and snare. Again, this is just for the purpose of cleaning up the sound. So I'm just gonna, you know, I might boost this a little bit. And this is not to clean anything up, but it's to give the sound its character. You know, I'm just gonna boost up this frequency because it's a frequency that really gives the sound body. So should be about it. And then at last it's the filler snare. Just like that. And of course, not to forget the melody, which I already EQ'd in this case, but I'm just gonna play it regardless. And note how the frequencies are in the middle. See? Like, you want to make sure that you have plenty of space in the low frequency spectrum for the 808 and the kick. So alright, so now that I'm done cleaning up the sounds with the EQ, I can go ahead and do the gain staging, and I'll be going by a certain industry standard, and I'll be showing you a little chart here so that you can follow along. And yeah, I'll just do the levels here real quick. So it's a little too quiet. Next, the kick at 0. I could be adjusting the fader here, but instead I will apply the limiter and have the ceiling at exactly 0, and then I'll slightly turn up the gain here. Just like that. Next is the hi-hats. Those are a little too loud. Should be averaging at like -10, so it's fine. Next is the open hats. And the clap and snare. Just fine like this. And then at last it's the filler snare, which should be at like -4 decibels. Sounds good like this. Okay, so now that I have a balanced mix in terms of volume, I'll listen to the whole thing and then decide whether or not I want to add a little effect here and there. And yeah, I'll be starting by just listening to it. Alright, I'm gonna add some reverb to the two hats first, and then I'm going to add some parallel compression to the kick and also distort the 808. I'm gonna start with the hats. Okay. Okay, that sounds good as far as the reverb goes. Now what I'm gonna do for the 808 to distort it is that I'm going to send it to a bus. I'm gonna send it to 11 and call it 808 distortion bus, and I will route the 808 signal to this, and then I will distort it quite heavily, and then I will cut out the lows and blend it in with the original. So I'm gonna be using this plugin here, Vintage Warmer. I'm gonna turn this off so I can listen to just this signal. Like that. See how it sounds with the rest of it. Sounds good. And now at last I'm going to do the parallel compression, and what that means is that I basically do the same thing as I did here with the 808, but instead of putting up the drive, I'm going to compress the kick signal. I'm going to route it to this channel to 12 and rename it as kick parallel. There. And for this one I'm going to use the SSL by Waves. It's the wrong one. Alright. What I'm going to do here is that I will put down the threshold quite a bit to like -5, -6, and have, no, not quite like this. Let's solo this out. It's too loud, so I wanted, ultimately it doesn't matter where the threshold is, I just wanted to hit at around like 16 decibels. Like that. I'll just blend it in with the original to make the kick cut through the mix stronger. Okay, now that I'm done with the mix down, I will be showing you guys what I do in terms of mastering. And what I do here is that I keep it extremely simple. And all I do is that I add a soft clipper and then have the threshold at exactly -3 decibels, which is the volume at which the clap and snare combo is going to hit, meaning that everything underneath that threshold, being the snare and the rest of the beat, is going to be glued together with the kick. And this right knob I'm not touching usually, since it's by default on 0 here. So without, it sounds like this. And with the soft clipper, it will sound like this. And what I do here sometimes is, if I'm uploading to YouTube, I will turn up the kick here to make it sound even harder. But that I will only do for the MP3 version for YouTube. Whenever I send out beats, I don't want to be annoying to the engineer, so I'll just leave the kick at 0. So yeah, that's it. If you liked the video, subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Peace out.